me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Sweet. Let me just drag this down. Okay, cool. Right. Big fan of these little illustrations that Kate has done. I felt for a long time that there are quite a wide range of interpretations of Artisteacher, but I don't know, maybe we just lack this sort of accessible sort of vocabulary to talk about it. So I thought these were really brilliant, and I've sort of lumped myself into the tandem category, and I think that is true of how I see my practice when I'm working as a teacher, or in my little studio area working on my own stuff. It feels like the two things are separate, but they're kind of running alongside each other. And from a distance, that sort of parallel track almost seems to touch, and sometimes I think it does, and the two things influence each other, or even go overlap or crisscross or pull each other or slow each other down. So it really is like a couple of things moving in tandem. And my cat wants to join in. So I'm going to talk to you about sort of 4 projects, student projects, and sort of try and explain or show how they've influenced what I do in my own work. So this is the first project I'm going to talk about. It's a Year 7 sculpture project, and some of you might recognize it because actually I did it as part of a challenge from Freelance Foundation and Yorkshire Sculpture International. And I'm happy to report that for the first time, it's actually running in my school now. So I'm really proud of it. And as part of this project, we look at ancient sculpture. We look at Cycladic figurines from ancient Greece. And we also look at moai, which are those big heads from Rapa Nui or Easter Island. And this has really kind of helped me get back in touch with my sort of younger self who loved archaeology, and I've been digging really deep into sort of ancient figurines and ancient statues like this, and it's actually given me a way to sort of take my own drawing seriously. I've always made these sort of weird figures, these wonky figure drawings with a kind of line with pen, and I sort of try and to sit down and like do 10 of them sometimes. And I just started to take them a bit more seriously because of this project, really. And I started doing stuff inspired by them. So here I kind of cut some of them out and folded them up, and then made them into some digital pieces and stuff like that. So in a way, like, this project has given me the confidence to make something out of something that I never felt was actually part of my practice before. Another project that we do at school, which I didn't come up with at all. I think it's quite a common project. I think you'll find it in a few schools, but I love the way we do it at our school. It's called Death, Decay and Dereliction. It's really angsty, so the students quite like it, I think. And as for the project trip, we go and we hang out in the graveyard for a day, which I also love. And it's kind of very moody and sort of, gothic. And that definitely takes me back to my younger years as well. And I've kind of got this renewed interest now in graveyards, and I've been going around them all, and I'm getting really interested in crosses specifically at the moment. And as you'll see later on, this kind of resurfaces in my practice in a big way. And it's coming up in my abstract stuff in weird ways that I wasn't expecting. I just noticed these things almost after the fact. And also some of my collage, and my abstract stuff and my collage has always been just really sort of like, nice little shapes and everything, happy colors and everything. So I'm quite sort of intrigued to see where this goes. And here's some of the crosses coming into the figurative stuff as well from this sculpture project. The third project is the life drawing project that I did with Year 12. I took this over from a colleague that laid a lot of the groundwork, but I absolutely loved it, and the kids did as well. We went through a whole range of artists and drew some naked people, which was a great opportunity. And I mean, I've always done life drawing, but I've always felt it's like a drill or an exercise, and I always really enjoy it, but I've never actually found it feels like my art. It just feels like something that I do to practice and to sort of like see if I can do it, sort of thing. And I've also really struggled to connect with portraiture just generally. Like, I've always just found portraiture to be a bit impenetrable, and it just leaves me cold. But through this project, I think I have found a way into portraiture, and I've walked past a few things in various galleries and sort of felt something. So that I'm very grateful for that. And I've even started to think about using my own image in my own work, which has always been a big no for me. So that's kind of coming back, and the idea of that, I'm sort of like poking around with that at the moment. Still not quite there, but I'm thinking about it. And part of I think the reason why that's happening is that this is a bit of a silly photo, but basically I was trying to get my students over lockdown to, do photo shoots and, use themselves as a way of making work. And so I just said, look, it's easy. And I just did like a quick series of pictures and stuff, and they all thought it was very silly, but I actually quite enjoyed it. And I was like, that's quite fun. So I kind of, carried on doing it, and the students carried on doing it as well. This is actually a series of photographs that one of the students did for my colleague. But, we did lots of photo shoots in the portraiture projects, and I just think it's a real high moment in her project, and it really inspired me. And here's another example, last one. This is a Year 8 identity project that we run, and we very bravely ask students to take selfies inspired by Cindy Sherman. And we approach it very carefully, but we kind of pitch it in a way to them that is, we kind of say to them, listen, your image is yours to do with what you want, and we want you to make art with it in whichever way you want. Have a look at this artist. She makes these outrageous characters. Sometimes they're cruel, sometimes they're a bit controversial, sometimes they're funny, and they're often ridiculous. Make something that's all of those things and send it to us. And here's some of the stuff that we've got on the right and on the bottom left. And honestly, I was so surprised by the response the first year we did this. And the second year we did this, I thought, you know what, it's not right for me not to have a go myself. So I had a go, and it was not easy, but I had some help from my partner, and so this is what I came up with. And the kids thought it was hilarious, obviously, but it also came in useful, because there's always a few kids that aren't really that forthcoming, or a bit shy, or weren't there when we do the task. So that it's useful for them to have something, because we do a mono printing task afterwards, and they scribbled all over my face, and actually I thought it was really cool, and it sort of inspired me a little bit as well. And so what I tried to do to end this little presentation is to make a piece of work that forces my art and my teaching together. And this is something I've always avoided, and I think that looking at this piece of work that I'm about to show you, it's quite clear why I've avoided. So here's the work. Wait a second, let me just get through all this bump. Okay, here's the work. So it kind of like links together a lot of the things that I've been inspired by, and here's another piece of it. But what I've realized is that when I'm teaching, I want to behave artistically as if I have no inhibitions, and I want to model risk-taking, and I want to model fearlessness, because I think that's what students need to see, and that's what they need at that point in their artistic moment. But for me, in my practice, I actually have to exercise I have to suppress a lot of my instincts, and I have to edit very heavily in order to kind of make something that I feel like is an insightful contribution. So that's why I think these two worlds have to there has to be like a bit of air between them most of the time. But anyway, I forced myself to do it, and I thought it was really fun, and I hope you found it interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you, and sorry for subjecting you to that. Anyway, there we go. I'm done.
Why would you apologize for that? I don't understand.
You're like a
student. It's like when a student apologizes.